But I'm actually really amazed at how well this is working. It's like stained glass. That is stunning. Right, we're back with another quick resin art experiment. Now, many of you are familiar with these. You've seen me use these on the channel before. Dichro-ISH films, known as lots of different things. Basically, you heat these up with a heat gun, you can fuse them together in different layers, and it creates these crazy effects. I'll pin a video at the end so you can see me making these textured sheets. Now, because they fuse, I want to see if I can do something with open bezels without having to mess around with, you know, the blue bezel tape or anything like that. I'm hoping, I mean, I'm not shy. I've got quite a few different styles and shapes of open bezels. I've also got some wood ones that I want to try if it works. So what I'm thinking is that I heat the Dichro-ISH films to the metal, and I'm hoping that the heat from the metal bonds the sheet to the bezel. Now, of course, you could do this in other ways, but I've not seen it done this way, so I'm going to give it a try and just see what happens. I'm not a big lover of gold bezels like this, but it's worth experimenting with to see what we get. I'm especially looking forward to using this chunky big pendant. Now, I got these from somebody in a Facebook group. I can't even remember now, but these kind of ones you can get, I know you can get these on Amazon, so I'll try and put the links in the description box below. I'm not so sure about the wooden ones. I got those from a local craft shop, but if I can find them, they'll be below the video. So the idea is, I'm not so sure about this because it has all these grooves. The idea is that I somehow use my heat gun, and hopefully that is going to bond to the metal. I'm not sure which way up I'm going to need to do this yet. We're going to try both ways. I'm thinking, because I need to warm the metal, I'm thinking I need to do it this way up so the metal gets hot. Of course, be careful because we are using a heat gun. The metal is going to get hot, so just stay safe. I'm doing mine on my silicone mat. Underneath this white silicone mat is a soldering iron mat, so it can withstand some very, very high temperatures. Don't go doing this on anything wooden or anything flammable or anything that can melt. Quick disclaimer. So I don't even know if I want to go with that color. Let's try something. I'm not fond of the gold, so I'm gonna try this to begin with. I've got my heat gun already set up, and I'm just going to begin by applying the heat to the bezel. I should have cut the sheet down because I don't really want to create any effects on the rest of the sheet, but I'm rushing into it. Right, let's see if that has bonded. I don't know. I mean, it's holding on, isn't it? But is it leak proof? I don't know. Let's find out. I hope so, because that's the idea, is I now fill my little details of my bear with some resin. So hopefully the bear has bonded and we're not going to get any leaks. I've got some bubbles. I've just opened a brand new bottle of UV resin. What I don't want to see is resin coming out the sides, because that would mean that potentially I didn't heat it enough, or that it's not going to work. So I'm going to continue filling this all the way up. Okay, so we've sprung a small leak at the bottom, so I'm going to quickly cure this before it all comes out. Okay, so that's had a minute under my lamp. You can see just a tiny amount come out the bottom there. Other than that, I would say that is a success. So all I would need to do now is cut out the bear. I'm just going to make it easier by doing what I should have done at the beginning. So there you can see the film and the resin bonded together. It's not going to peel away. So I can now, I could use my scissors or a craft knife, I suppose. Just go around the whole bear, and then I can back it if I want with a black or a white. But I'm going to skip this part out so you're not bored. I mean, that was too easy. I just went round with my craft knife. And it's really, it's finished off quite well. I'm just taking off any excess. But I'm wondering if I use my torch, I mean, I don't want to melt it, but I'm just wondering if I quick click blast it, there you can see it's just disappeared. So I'm not, see this bit here, for instance, here, use a long nose lighter if you've got one, but see that, it's gone. So I could now back that. I'm really impressed. Doesn't take much, guys. I'm really impressed. Look at those colours coming through. So really easy, actually. Really easy. I don't know if this has been done before. If it has, I do apologise. Let me know if you've seen it. But it just eliminates the whole blue bezel tape. Plus it's putting the film at the back. I mean, you could use the bezel tape, fill it up, and then lay your film on and then cure it and then do it. But you have the risk of all the resin overspilling. But this way, I know it had a little leak down there, but if I'd seen that when it started to happen, I could have just very quickly used my handheld torch and just sealed it. So I think that it has, there's another little bit there. Just take that down and it's gone. So, I mean, there's no sharpness at the back. All I need to do now is just back that with a black or a white. So, or keep it clear if you want, it's entirely up to you. But I'm just going to back mine with a black and see what happens. I mean, how easy was that? Still probably do with another backing of black, but again, you don't want to go too heavy with that because it needs to cure. But yeah, I think I need to try this now on some different ones. Now this one has more of a 3D kind of, it's not flat, so I'm a little bit worried about this one. But I mean, this would be a bonus if it works. But I definitely need to try this big tree. Now what I'm wondering is if I would be able to use the textured film that we've already made in a different video. So I'm going to try this. So with something like this, I suppose it doesn't really matter if the resin goes underneath the areas in the middle, because I can always flip it over and cure it from the back. It's mainly to stop it from coming out of these edges. So you saw it curl up a little bit there, which reminded me of something that Fran did in one of Fran at Little Windows. She did something where she was placing shapes onto the film and then using the heat gun to kind of make the effect around the shape. So it's very similar to that, but yeah, I'm just hoping that that has bonded to the back, which I think it has. So I'm going to let that cool down and then we're going to do our resin thing. As always, massive shout out to my channel members, anyone who's bought me a coffee or a super thanks, and to all my subscribers. It is free, hit that button for me. So that one had a minute on the front and then about 30 seconds on the back. Now I think we had a tiny leak on this side, but to be honest, again, it's nothing major. It's tricky to tell as well because the film is crinkled. it is tricky to see if it has or hasn't actually leaked. It could have been my eyes. Ah, there you can see just a tiny amount on this side here, but it's nothing to worry about because it's on metal. It will clean up really, really easy. So again, I'm just gonna trim this up, craft knife, easier, and then back it. But look at that. I mean, that was just super easy. Apart from that tiny area down there, which I just took the scissors to, it just glides around. It's super, super easy. Now, if you were going to keep these clear, I would recommend sealing the back in with just a clear layer of UV resin, just in case there are any areas that are slightly sticky uppy bits, you know, just to seal them in. Just take the resin all the way to the edge. It's really, really easy to do. I really like that one clear, but I don't know what to do. Look at that colour. It's magical. Yeah, I had to keep that one clear. And, you know, no sharpness on the back whatsoever. Nothing it can catch on. Really, really smooth finish. That is stunning. Couple of bubbles in there, but I don't care. I literally want to do every bezel that I've shown you, but I'm not going to do it all on camera. But it's really good fun. I don't know. I very much doubt wood will work, especially with the textured, because it's very different properties, of course, to metal, isn't it? So I think if I can get this to work, the only way I'm going to be able to get this to work is by potentially heating the film onto the wood. But again, I don't think it's going to work. So as predicted, the resin just seeped underneath the detail and just, I mean, look at those bubbles as well. It's to be expected because again, it's wood. Yeah, so I just decided to just go over the wood anyway and just, yeah. So I'm going to try and salvage it because I don't want to waste it. So I'm going to trim that up and try and dome the top with some resin. And then I think the only way to hide those bubbles is with a black background. So wood is definitely a no-go. I know I should have sealed the wood before. I don't really work with wood. I'm not really that great. But yeah, it doesn't really work. So don't do wood. Now for this shaped one, sorry if I'm boring you. I don't know if it's gonna work. I might have to do it this way. What if I heat the bezel and then place on the film and push it down, but being careful not to burn my fingers, of course. I wonder if that way would work. It should, in theory. I'm not going to try it with that one. I've changed my mind. I'm going to go with this one. It's a layered one. Can't remember what colours, but it will do. I mean, it's worked. It's worked incredibly well. So well that the tissue has also bonded to the film. I suppose a bit of alcohol could remove that afterwards. I mean, that probably is going to be a better seal than I wanted. But at least I know now that the resin is definitely not going to run out the sides of this one, is it? So I can proceed. I'm not going to worry about the tissue for now. It happens, things happen, especially during experiments. It's allowed. So yeah, I'm going to fill that up and we'll deal with that bit afterwards. So I've taken off the excess. I don't even think I'm going to need alcohol. It's just rubbing off, which is an absolute bonus. So I haven't given this one, sorry, I haven't given this one, and I've done it again 2 times in a row. I haven't given this one any kind of backing yet, but you can see just how I've lost my words. You can see just how well that's worked by laying the film onto the bezel and then pushing it down. Maybe don't use tissue, not that it matters, because it really does come off super easy. And what we can do is make a little cabochon using the film as well, maybe a different color, just to finish the piece off. Give it a center and just glue that in. But I'm actually really amazed at how well this is working. It's like stained glass with bezels, and it should work with any kind of shape bezel as well, as long as we heat it and be careful. I mean, you could always use like an old mold and just push that over. So I know I've made a few already, but I'm gonna make some more off camera. Okay, we're all done. Who wants to see the results? As always, give the video a thumbs up, drop me a comment if you haven't subbed. It is free, help the channel grow. So, we've already seen some of these, obviously, because we've been making them. But I'm really impressed at just how quick and easy this is. I've had one issue, and I'll tell you about that when I get to that piece. I've got another one of these big bezels. I might chop and change around with things. See, because you can fuse the films together, you could, if you wanted to, do multicolored. So you could cut your sheets, lay them down, heat them, fuse them together, and then you'll have a wider array of color blend if you want to take the time doing that. I even went as small as this tiny little seahorse. Looks like opal in there. It's absolutely incredible. So much easier. I mean, with something like this, you'd have to really try and cut a piece down to get it to fit inside that small gap. With this, you don't have to worry about it. You heat the bezel, you lay it down on top. That is definitely the easiest way. Heat gun over the bezel, get your sheet, push it down, protect your hands because you don't want to burn yourself because they do get really hot. And it just sticks apart from one, which again I'll tell you in a moment. Did I show myself filming? I've made a few. I've forgotten. I filmed for different platforms as well. I don't know what ones you've seen in the video. I can't remember. This is the one that I quickly showed by adding a variation of backing colors. It only just shows, but it does work really well. Again, you could go with different colored films. Just be careful that, make sure they're not, they've got to be touching the metal. You've seen the bear, of course. I actually quite like that. The blue and the gold goes really well. It's like a velvet or silk effect. I really like that bear now. This was the big flower of life. I tried a flower. It's not brilliant, but it worked. Instead of having to use bezel tape, again, just lay the film, turned it over, then did what you'd normally do with flowers in resin. I think that looks, the colours in that are insane. Really colourful. It kind of takes the eye away from the flower a bit, but I should have used maybe a white flower. But it was just an experiment to see if it would work. This one is absolutely stunning. I finished it off with just a cabochon using the film in the back. But it really is absolutely gorgeous. Again, really quick and easy. Turns these bezels, sometimes these bezels look really tacky to me, but it just makes them into something that's just totally not tacky. That is incredible. So one issue I had, and this was a very shiny metal. I tried a couple of times to bond the film to the metal, and it just it kept peeling away. So I mean, it was a little bit hit and miss. I didn't really have a leak on it though. So once I pushed the film on, I flipped it over and just pushed it down, and I think that created a seal enough for me to fill up. But what I did is I went over the whole front just to hold everything properly, and that is absolutely stunning. I love that one. So you may want to, if you're using a stainless steel that's really got a gloss finish to it, sand down the back before you heat and apply your film. That should give you a better bond. I didn't think about trying that. I just went straight ahead, but it's absolutely incredible and so easy. I hope you enjoyed that one. I did. I mean, the potential's there. I'm now wondering, could we do this with copper wire? We could make flower petals using the film. My brain's thinking lots of different ideas at the moment, but I think from this, my favourite, it's hard to pick. I mean, but these two really are gorgeous. Have a little play around with it. Again, all discount codes are in the description box below. I will see you for the next one. Bye for now.